I gotta admit, the end of the Fever Mercury game made me sit up for a second because it got a little spicy with Caitlin Clark having an interaction with Dewanna Bonner out on the middle of the floor, sort of waving her back to the bench.
Dewanna Bonner might have just made the messiest mistake of her season, stepping straight at Caitlin Clark during that Mercury versus Fever showdown. The second it happened, cameras locked in, fans gasped, and the internet went nuclear. And let's be real, Bonner didn't just pick a fight with Clark. She picked a fight with the entire machine that runs the WNBA right now. Caitlin Clark, year 2 in the league, and already the headline every single night, whether she's pulling logo threes like they're layups, throwing passes that don't even seem human, or just walking across the court breathing. This league revolves around her. That's the reality, no matter who wants to admit it. So when a veteran like Dewanna Bonner tried to step up and challenge that spotlight, it turned into instant regret, instant viral content, and instant embarrassment. See, Clark has mastered turning little scuffles into major storylines. And trust me, fans love it. They don't miss a second. Bonner probably thought she was sending a message, but all she really did was sign up to be the star of another viral Clark highlight reel. Now here's what makes this even messier. Indiana was already limping into this matchup. Injuries stacking up, mystery updates from coaches, fans frustrated like they need a medical degree just to know who's playing. Clark herself has been in and out of practice with those nagging ankle and groin issues. The whole vibe around the Fever has been one long guessing game. And right in the middle of all that chaos, Bonner decides it's the perfect time to square up with the league's lightning rod. Bad move.
Now, we all know that the Indiana Fever is trying to make a push for the playoffs. We've been getting mixed signals coming out about Caitlin coming back, about Caitlin being, somewhat ready to go. Then we got Stephanie White saying it's day-to-day again, basically. Well, I'm here to tell you, Caitlin Clark is not shying away from making headlines.
And Bonner knows better. She's been around too long not to understand how narratives work in this league. But here's the truth. Going after Caitlin Clark isn't just going after one player. It's going after the fan base, the reporters, the highlight accounts, and the endless social media cycle that will replay your worst 2 seconds for eternity. That's exactly what happened. Instead of looking tough, Bonner looked pressed, like a vet desperate to rattle the one player who already draws more attention than half the league combined. The whole exchange was honestly hilarious in how quick it spiraled. Clark didn't back down. She hit Bonner with the cold, talk to the hand energy. Bonner tried to puff up, act like she owned the court, but it backfired fast. And the refs? Frozen in place like statues, pretending nothing was happening. Classic WNBA officiating. Somehow always lost when Clark is on the floor. Fans are already convinced refs either ignore clear fouls, let hits to the head slide, or invent calls just to throw her off. But in this moment, their silence just made Bonner look even worse. And when that clip hit Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, it absolutely exploded. Fever fans clowned Bonner instantly. Clark defenders said, "Here we go again, another vet trying to bully Caitlin." Even Mercury fans were asking, why pick this fight? It's like no one learns. Angel Reese tried it. Trinity Carter tried it. Lexi Hull got dragged into it. And every single time, it ends the same way. The other player looks desperate while Clark comes out stronger. The wildest part? Clark isn't even a rookie anymore. The whole "welcome to the league" excuse is gone. She's in her 2nd season, and now it just feels like straight-up desperation. And let's be real, the Mercury know their window is closing fast. Diana Taurasi isn't getting younger. Bonner herself isn't a future cornerstone, and this team feels the pressure. Meanwhile, the Fever have Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and a young squad that could run the league for the next decade if managed right. That's the real fear, the old guard lashing out at the future. So when Clark stood tall, hit Bonner with that dismissive hand wave in front of a packed arena, it wasn't just defiance, it was humiliation for Phoenix. The clip didn't make Bonner look tough, it made her look rattled. Shook in real time. The irony? The Fever still lost the game. Phoenix actually got it done with 5 players scoring in double figures. But none of that mattered. By the end of the night, nobody was talking about the scoreboard. They were all talking about Bonner's bad decision to test Caitlin Clark. Nope.
Point in time. But that interaction stood out to me for a couple of reasons. I mean, number one, obviously, is the history there, where Dewanna Bonner was on the Fever for a cup of coffee and then winds up on the Mercury. Before the season, Caitlin Clark said she wanted to win a ring for her, right? She said, I want to win for her. And Caitlin Clark went out of her way to also, shine light on how Dewanna Bonner had risen up to the top of, near the top of the all-time WNBA scoring ranks. And then,
Forget the box score. Forget the standings. The entire conversation was Clark versus Bonner. That's the Caitlin Clark effect in real time. You can outscore the Fever, you can stack up wins in the standings, but if Clark gives you that one viral clip, the night belongs to her. She controls the narrative, and the whole league knows it. But before we get too deep into Clark's shine, let's talk about Lexi Hull for a second. Because if there's anyone who deserves credit in this chaos, it's her. She logged 35 exhausting minutes, dropped 18 points, and still found the energy to lock in on defense while the rest of her squad looked like they were crumbling. Hull's not the type to always put up flashy numbers, but when the game gets gritty, she delivers. And the wild part? While Bonner was puffing up trying to rattle Clark, it was actually Hull who was giving Phoenix problems. But do we see that all over social media? Nope. What we see is Clark casually waving Bonner off while Bonner looks pressed under the spotlight. And that takes us straight to Indiana's sideline. Stephanie White, what are we even doing here? You can't let games collapse like this, especially when the other team is stacking 5 double-digit scorers on you. That's not one mismatch. That's not one hot hand. That's your entire defensive game plan folding like a cheap lawn chair. Fans are tired of the recycled day-to-day excuses. They don't want cliches. They want wins. Meanwhile, while White juggles rotations, injuries, and media pressure, she's also watching her players get dragged into petty sideline beefs that overshadow everything else. Here's the kicker. Clark didn't even need to score 30 to win this battle. All she had to do was throw out that dismissive hand wave and let the cameras do their job. That's power. That's influence. And it's why every veteran who thinks they can teach her a lesson ends up regretting it. You can foul her, shove her, trash talk her, but when the dust settles, she's still the headline. And the WNBA can't hide it, no matter how much certain execs probably wish they could. Fans online said it best. Congrats, Dewanna! You just gave Clark another viral clip, and they weren't wrong. Because like it or not, this is the fuel that keeps the Fever fan base alive.
Most clutchest player on the damn team. I'm not just saying that just to say it. Lexi Hull stand on business when it's time to...
And honestly, it fuels Clark too. She thrives on this pettiness, on the doubters, on the so-called welcome to the league moments. Every time someone tries to check her, her brand only gets stronger. Meanwhile, vets like Bonner end up looking salty, like they're gatekeeping a league that's desperate for new energy and fresh eyes. And speaking of fans, the Fever crowd has grown louder, rowdier, and flat out fed up with the nonsense. They've watched Clark take cheap shots all season, watched refs swallow whistles while she gets shoved to the floor, and now they see a vet trying to sun her, or maybe I should say anti-her. Either way, it's just more proof that this league doesn't know how to handle its rising star. And what do fans do? They flip it. They blow up the clip, turn it into a meme, and trend it across social media until Bonner's tough act looks like a comedy sketch. That's instant regret, live and direct. And don't get it twisted. Clark knows exactly what she's doing. She understands that every little shove, every moment of trash talk, is another chance to win without even scoring. She plays it perfectly. Just enough sarcasm, just enough confidence to make the other player look unhinged while she looks unbothered. That's not just basketball. That's a skill. That's why she's more than a shooter, more than a passer. She's a cultural shift in sneakers. And Bonner, whether she meant to or not, she just handed Clark another brick for her empire. And that's the crazy part. The fallout from this clash has become bigger than the game itself. Nobody's talking about Phoenix's playoff push. Nobody's breaking down Indiana's struggles. The headline is simply, Bonner tried to intimidate Clark and lost in the court of public opinion. And here's where things really get wild. Because even though Bonner walked away looking rattled, the Fever walked away with another L. That's the part that stings for Indiana fans. They've watched their team fight through injuries, rotations, and endless media noise, only to see the same cracks open up when it matters most. The Fever couldn't hold Phoenix down, couldn't match their balance, and when 5 different Mercury players are putting up double figures on you, that's not a single matchup problem, that's a full system breakdown. And it's a pattern. Every time the Fever look like they're building momentum, they find a way to trip over themselves. Defensive rotations breaking down, miscommunication on switches, and that sluggish energy late in games that screams, "We're gassed." And when fans see that happening while the headlines are dominated by Clark's latest scuffle, they start asking the uncomfortable question, is Stephanie White really the right coach for this group? Because let's be honest, this roster isn't lacking talent. They've got Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull stepping up, and role players ready to grind. But what's the identity? Where's the defensive backbone? What's the offensive system when Clark isn't bailing them out with logo threes or threading impossible passes? Right now, it feels like vibes and hope. And that's not enough in a league where vets like Phoenix can smell weakness and exploit it all night long. And here's the twist. Clark doesn't even need the win to stay on top of the conversation. Think about that for a second. The Fever lose the game, the Mercury celebrate, but by the next morning, the only thing trending isn't Phoenix's balanced attack. It's Clark waving Bonner off like she wasn't worth her breath. That's the Caitlin Clark effect. She hijacks the narrative without even touching the scoreboard. And you can see it in the way veterans react. They can't stand it. They hate that one clip can erase 40 minutes of hard work, that Clark's influence stretches way beyond the court. So they try to check her, try to rattle her, try to humble her. And it always backfires. Because Clark has turned defiance into an art form. The more you press her, the more she feeds off it, and the bigger the stage becomes. Meanwhile, Fever fans are stuck in this emotional tug of war. On one hand, they're furious about the losses, the lack of structure, the endless injury updates that feel like smokescreens. But on the other hand, they can't deny the thrill of watching Clark flip every little confrontation into a viral win. It's exhausting, it's exhilarating, and it's keeping this team in the spotlight whether the scoreboard agrees or not. And here's the cold reality. Indiana can't ride that wave forever. If the Fever don't tighten up, Clark's brilliance risks getting buried under frustration. Fans aren't going to sit quietly while they watch her fight battles off the ball, only to see the defense collapse possession after possession. They want results. They want growth. They want to see this young core turn into the powerhouse they know it can be. But in the meantime, Clark keeps stacking cultural wins. The Bonner clash is just the latest entry in a growing list of moments where she turned tension into power. And every single time it happens, her brand gets stronger, her fan base gets louder, and the league gets more divided about how to handle her. That's what makes her dangerous. Not just her scoring, not just her passing, but her ability to weaponize drama itself. So while Phoenix walked away with the scoreboard win, Caitlin Clark walked away with the headline win. Again. And for Bonner, that tough guy act turned into instant regret, a meme on repeat, and a reminder that challenging Clark in public is a gamble you almost never win. Bonner might have thought she won the battle in that moment, but in the bigger picture, she lost it. You don't win when the clip gets replayed a million times with captions clowning you for looking pressed. You don't win when Clark waves you off like background noise. And you definitely don't win when fans are already turning you into a meme before the final buzzer even sounds. And here's where it gets worse for Bonner. Caitlin Clark lives off this energy. We've seen it over and over. Every time someone thinks they can body her up, humble her, or send a welcome to the league message, she flips it into fuel. She answers back with logo threes that feel personal, cross-court dimes that make defenses look lost, or just that cold, unbothered stare that dares you to try her again. That's the edge Clark brings. She doesn't need to scream in your face, doesn't need to chest bump or talk tough. She'll make you look silly with one flick of her wrist or one sarcastic wave of her hand. And it hits way harder than anything Bonner could have said. Meanwhile, the Fever are still juggling bigger issues. Their defense looks shaky. The rotations feel like they're pulled out of a hat, and the injury cloud never goes away. Fans are exhausted with the secrecy, done with the vague day-to-day updates, and fed up watching their star get shoved around without refs stepping in. Add Bonner trying to big dog Clark into the mix, and it's no wonder Fever fans are boiling over. Because this isn't just about one fight, it's about constant disrespect on top of mismanagement. But let's not crown Phoenix either. Sure, they had 5 players hit double figures. Sure, they climbed in the standings. But if your game plan is basically hope Clark gets rattled, good luck with that. Because Clark doesn't rattle. She laughs. She knows how the league works. She knows vets are salty about the spotlight she commands, and she knows the refs won't bail her out. Instead of whining, she shrugs it off and serves up more highlight reels for SportsCenter, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You name it, she owns it. And while we're talking highlights, Lexi Hull deserves her flowers again. While Bonner was busy acting tough, Hull was out there quietly stacking points, digging in on defense, and proving she's the most underrated piece of this Fever roster. You can't always measure hard on a stat sheet, but anyone watching knows Hull shows up when it matters most. Meanwhile, Bonner's big moment is gonna live forever, as the time Caitlin Clark dismissed her with a wave, like swatting away a fly at a picnic. That's not legacy material, that's meme material. So yeah, instant regret. Bonner might have thought she was sending a message, but the only message fans heard was loud and clear. Caitlin Clark owns the spotlight. And honestly, that says a lot about where the league is right now. Instead of headlines about great team play or playoff pushes, the conversation always comes back to who's trying to bully Clark this week. Like it or not, Clark is the main character of the WNBA, and the harder players fight it, the bigger she gets. The lesson here couldn't be more obvious. Stop handing Caitlin Clark free viral moments. Every shove, every cheap shot, every side-eye just becomes another clip that builds her brand. And for Bonner, that means she's not remembered for dropping 19 points in this game. She's remembered for losing her cool in front of Clark, and looking like she regretted it instantly. So what do you think? Was this just another harmless scuffle, or did Dewanna Bonner completely fumble by picking a fight with Caitlin Clark? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss when we break down the next viral WNBA meltdown.